Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a motherfucking trap addict. Bye, bye. I'm mobbing. Bye. And in Menudo style in direct fashion, we're going to get straight to the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that I'm kicking. I appreciate all the support. I'm very humbled by it. I couldn't do it without you. Gracias, man. So, the Diddy Cartel, Big Boy, the founder and the proprietor and the manipulator and the misogynist. And is he a necrophiliac? I don't know. Maybe. The vato that's involved in everything when it comes to strength cartel, the head honcho, right, has decided that if for no other reason, man, to manipulate the masses into thinking he was the hardest ex-convict that ever walked the streets or the yard besides Wes Watson. We all know Wes Watson got that title. No one can take it from him. Hey, homie, them dudes weren't that hard, homie, right? In the words of Joey Stacks. But I've been asked questions, a lot of questions about Big Boy. What happens if Big Boy goes back to prison, to the California prison system, CDCR, right? Ooh-wee. He's manipulated a lot of people, burned a lot of bridges, turned his back on a lot of homeboys, fucked a lot of people's heads up. And now he's hanging out with one of the most notorious characters ever to grace the fucking San Diego parks, right? Parks and recreational areas. Wes Watson. Now, I've told you guys in the past, if Wes Watson goes back to prisons, he's going to be in trouble. And I think he understands that. That's why he's got Dago tattooed on the back of his head in Miami. That vato took it all the way to Florida because he understands that if he gets caught up in any type of situation and has to go into the prison system as a wood brother, as a white man, it's over. It's a wrap. I've been told this personally, not over like they're going to blast him or he's going to get whacked. If that happens, it happens, man, unfortunately, right? But he will no longer be in great standings. He will no longer be able to function on the yard with skinheads and woods. And the reason that is because there have been people, stories that he has told have gotten people more time indicted, things of that nature. There's just certain reasons why, as a prison YouTube content creator, you don't say too fucking much. That guy said a whole lot. We're talking about the type of guy that'd be like, I ain't gonna say no. Bro, I ain't gonna say no, not one name in this. And then he starts telling names, telling mothers' names. I mean, just everybody's name, right? To make him sound good. And the cool part about it is he didn't even know these guys. He's telling you stories that he heard while he was sitting in the county jail in the holding cell, eating a fucking apple and a peanut butter sandwich that they were talking about. He makes himself the man in that story, right? He never loses. That guy's never lost in his life. He's a fucking a winner, right? And because he's such a winner, other guys have lost because he has mentioned their name, and so he's no longer in great standings. Now, Big Boy's hanging around with that type of riffraff. And they say birds of a feather flock together. Does that hold weight upon Big Boy if he gets locked up and goes to prison? Now, do I think Big Boy's on his way to prison? No. Okay, I don't think he's part of a pyramid scheme. I don't think he's part of a situation where it's illegal what he's doing. You know, he's just finding people that are fucking got self-esteem issues and they're stupid and they're buying into his fucking mediocre ass program. Okay, you will not look like Big Boy. Only Jake Johns looks like Jake Johns, right? Jimmy Dean Sausage himself. You can't have manchichis like he has manchichis. His manchichis hit different. Now, that doesn't mean if he goes to prison because people have been manipulated and worked out of their money that he's all bad. In fact, to answer the question, what will happen to Jake Johns, Big Boy, if he goes back to the California system? Nothing. He won't be touched. It's not a situation where he was doing illegal activities or getting people incarcerated or locked up. Now, I know a lot of people hate on this guy. I know a lot of people talk a lot of shit about him, but I got to be real here, man. I got to give you the knowledge you can't get in college. And I'll answer the fucking question as righteous and real as I can get, having done 19 years in prison. I got a tear in my eye for Jake Johns if he goes in prison, right? Or no, actually, that's for Wes Watson because I already know what he's going through. But Jake Johns ran with the Southsiders when he was locked up, right? All 10% Mexican of them. And having run with a group as notorious as the Southerners, you know, he had to be solid, which means he didn't have bad charges. He wasn't on no weirdo shit. And you got to respect it. Whether you like him or not, that's just the fucking way it is, right? Now, this man is on the streets. And if people choose to get manipulated by him and all his bullshit shenanigans, that is ultimately that's on them. Unfortunately, people have to go through the twists and turns with these individuals. But hey, the Sharmuta cartel will Sharmuta you out of your last dollar. That's a fact, right? But what happens if he goes back to prison? Well, because he ran Southern, he will still run Southern, right? Even though it's come to light that he ain't Mexican, that doesn't matter. When you claim a Mexican area or a Mexican gang, you cease to be an ethnicity. I never said, hey, that's the black norteño homie right there. I said, that's the homie. He just happens to be black. I never said, hey, that's the white homeboy Weddle. He's a white northerner. I said, nah, that's the homeboy. He's a homie. They call him Weddle. He just happens to be Norwegian. Fuck it, right? That's gang. He grew up here. You know what I mean? His mom was on food stamps like my mom was on food stamps. It is what it is. We all ate checks. Hey, we all ate that shit that Mikey will eat. It just is what it is. Chorizo and papas went down. You know, and I'm sure Jay Johns grew up like that too. Well, he didn't really grow up like that. He's from San Clemente. He grew up by the beach eating crab and lobster and comes from a 2-parent home and 8 Mile. You know what I mean? Hey, I know one thing about Clarence. Clarence grew up with both his parents, right? You grew up with both. It's good. It's all good, man. Everyone lives differently, and some people live violently, and tragically. Wes Watson's another one. He grew up in a whole good, wholesome home. But these guys will have you believe that they're crazy. They're the craziest ex-convicts ever to walk the earth. They even still wear state clothing. I don't know why. Why? Let it go. You're not in prison no more. Eat lobster, fuck bad bitches, and live your best life, right? But they want to do it wearing WW shirts. Is that for www.hoopit.com? I don't know. Maybe. So if this guy goes to prison, what happens? Well, because he ran with the Southsiders, he would have to function with them again. And Jake Johns has not gotten anyone incarcerated. He's not in the prison genre. He's not told anybody's business. He's not put politics out there. So there's really no reason for them to be upset with him. There's really no reason for him to get ran up in or to get fucking ran up on, right? Now, everybody has family members, you know, and if they feel that this man manipulated, say, a family member, yeah, on a personal note, he's going to have to answer for that. Someone might say, bro, you got my peoples for a whole bunch of money. You manipulated them. It is what it is. Now, it's a hard line, okay, in prison. And let me explain something to you. This guy supposedly is a millionaire. He has money. So when someone comes on the yard with a lot of money and they're from a certain group, that group the expectations are real. They're not going to take a third of what you got or everything you got because it's not ill-gotten, meaning you didn't do it illegally. See, if it's illegally, you're going to kick in, Holmes. It's just the way it is. You don't own them streets out there to get illegal on them. Do you understand? But if it's gotten professionally and by a business that you've built, you know, you're not expected to give up something, but it'd probably be in your best benefit to look out for the camaradas, right? For the homies. Just so that you know you pay like you weigh. But big boy, you know, probably in this case would kick in. You know, he probably would break bread like Jesus said because he'd have it like that. And hey, protection's not for free. Just because you're part of a group doesn't mean you're really part of that group. It just means you're hanging around. You're a hang-around, homie. You know, you're hanging around, you're a resident, or you're from a barrio that no one ever heard of, a traveling barrio. And it is what it is. But Big Boy would get there, and because he has not told on anyone, or gave up the ghost like Wes Watson did, he don't have nothing to worry about. Now, would Jake Johns go to a GP or an SNY yard? Well, that depends on how he's feeling that day and what he thinks may or may not happen to him, right? At the end of the day, prison is prison. Doesn't matter what side of the yard you're on, you're still going to do time like they do time. That's what people get the misconception on. They don't understand prison is prison. Hey, the hole is the hole. And SNY and active all go to that same hole, that same dungeon. You will do time amongst what you consider a degenerate. That's part of life, right? But I don't see any situation where Jake Johns goes to prison or ends up back in prison. First of all, he's not out doing illegal activities, I would hope, right? But let's just say, for instance, what him and Wes Watson do got going on is a pyramid scheme. God forbid, right? A whole bunch of people got manipulated out of their money with promised things, and the promises weren't fulfilled, right? And they get looked at, you know, for tax evasion or whatever it may be, and they get caught up. Okay, Bugattis don't come cheap. You know what I mean? And neither do man boobs. So anyways, he gets caught up and he goes back to prison and he's on a general population yard. That man doesn't owe anyone anything. Now, if he chooses to kick in and look out for the gente, that's a great thing. And if he chooses not to, well, he'll have to deal with the repercussions of that. But really, in real life, the way the Southerners run the car, which is a car that he was part of in the past, right? His shit's not illegal, man. So that's his money. Now, of course, there could be a situation where Vatos pull up on him and try to extort him or feel some type of way. And, if he's not looking out for the gente, he's being greedy, like the Sharmuta cartel, the snake oil cartel is, the Diddy cartel, then, it could be a situation where it's all bad. Just because you're a part of a gang or a group or an organization doesn't mean it's a hands-off policy with you. Doesn't mean everything is everything. There's a lot of people that hate. There's a lot of people that are envious. There's a lot of people that are jealous. And, prison is different on every different yard. You can go into a yard, man, it can be all smooth. Hey, the homies are looking out for you. You're looking out for them. Everyone loves you. It's all good. You're a big boy on the yard, allegedly, right? And everyone's feeling that. Then you could go to a different yard and it's all reverse. No one likes you. They don't care for you. You're a tricky fella. And now it's going to get tricky. I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it, right? I remember a homie got to the yard. He came from San Quentin, reception. He was supposed to be high powered. He was supposed to be in the mix, right? And immediately he, filled out his little questionnaire for the Norteños and he wanted to be put on the COC chain of command. He felt he had that coming. And what he had coming on the yard was a big old piece, because what he failed to fucking mention is that he was celled up with a degenerate for a while and didn't get off on him and just had him roll it up out of the cell instead of fucking taking flight. That got discovered. He got massacred. That was that on that yard, right? For him. So what a difference a day makes in a yard makes. But to be totally honest with the question, man, will Big Boy be ran up in or ran up on? No, absolutely not. He hasn't done anything to warrant that. See, prison is a different animal than the streets. On the streets, there's people that feel played. There's people that don't like him. There's content made about Big Boy, excuse my language. Big man chichis every single day, right? And it's not because people hate him. I'll tell you the truth. I do not hate on this man. I do not hate Jake Johns. I don't dislike him. I just think some of the things he does are cornball shit, corn dog shit. He's corny, right? He wants to live that prisoner life, yet doesn't really want to live that life. The type of dude who backslides on pretty much everything he says, man. And that's the truth. Truth of the matter is, right? Talking about turning people in on YouTube and having their page took down and all that. That's snitching, bro. That's a rata. Do that and watch what happens in prison. Then you got to watch your backsides. You have to do that anyways. You're around Wes Watson. He's trying to cram his whole hand up your asshole so that you guys can get on the same level, right? But the situation here is, will he get washed up on the yard because he's part of the straight cartel? Probably not. Probably not. But there's going to be individuals that are there on the yard that know who he is, know what he's about, and want to see how deep his pockets really are. It's crazy because in prison, most shit happens to you from your own people, from the inside out, right? And I don't even like to say inside out when I'm talking about the straight cartel, because Cali Mustard's over there trying to turn everybody inside out. You understand it, Amy? The camaraderie. the camaraderie. The camaraderie. He's trying to body me, right? It's all bad. He's got Chuck Basher over there, Big Joe over there looking like fucking a Freddy Krueger without the bad charges. Hey, you guys, right? I got to say, hey, you guys, because there's never girls in their videos, so you can't say, hey, you girls, unless you're talking about them. And then it is what it is. Shout out to Big Joe, though. Free Big Joe. I like him. He doesn't say much. And, he did his prison time. And he walked that yarda solid. And Big Boy did too. Wes Watson, we're very skeptical about Wes Watson, He definitely didn't walk a California prison yard solid. We know that. Oklahoma, that don't count, homie. Right? Eloy, Arizona, I heard it was a little tricky over there, so we'll give you 1 point. Flag on the play. We'll give him 1 point for that one. But as far as California, Sentinella, all that, we already exposed that. You didn't go there. You wouldn't know how to spell Sentinella. You ain't never ate a pancake in Sentinella's fucking chow hall. You never got cell-fed in Chino prison. Stop talking about Salinas Valley, bitch, right? Because you ain't never been there. You can't even spell Salinas Valley. But I will say this. Big Boy has been to prisons. Big Boy was on the yard with Wicked from Compton, rest in peace. And he solidified, man. He did his time. No doubt about it. Will he be washed up if he goes back to the yard? No. And this is just my perspective on it. I don't see a reason to. One thing I know about the Southerners, I've always respected the way they handle their business and their politics on the yarda. They don't play them games, man. They handle their business, right? Just like every other group does, the Norteños, the Whites, Woods. Of course, brother, even the Blacks, brother. When I say even, I mean even Steven, brother, because I'm ready to put it down. On power whack, that's a different story. Four fingers in his butt, they're tripping. They're tripping when he gets there. Vatos want to know what that hit for, straight up. But I don't see Big Boy in a situation where it's going to affect him. Now, if he goes on the yard thinking his shit don't stick, trying to push people around, you're a bully, homie. You're 270. If I got to bring a knife to the fucking yard if you're 270, right? Or if he thinks he doesn't have to participate like everyone else just because he's big or because he has a name or because he's from some strength cartel, he's going to get a rude awakening. You know, it's a trip that a lot of people ask me the question, if a Vato's big on the yard, man, does he get like extra trays or does he get extra? You don't get extra nothing. You get an extra fucking knife in you, man, because you're a target. You know, and it doesn't matter how big you are. It could be John Bones Jones. It could be Cain Velasquez. It could be any fucking heavy hitter with major hands, and they're going to wrap you up by the legs, take you down, and pound a steak into you. That's what it is. If you're a werewolf, they're going to hit you with a silver bullet. That's just how it is in prison yards. No one cares how big you are or what influence you have on the streets unless you're part of something that they're usually not part of on a yard like that, right? But I don't see Jake Johns having any trouble in prison. I think he'd mind fuck himself and end up on SNY. I think he would think, man, I'm not trying to be around heavy hitters and get caught up and do life. You know, a lot of dudes do that. When you get off a prison bus, you know, back in the days, you got wherever they sent you. You know, if you were a solid individual, they'd put you in the cage. When they brought you out of fucking R&R, they'd have a captain or a lieutenant or SSU or whatever, man. Gang coordinators talk to you. They'd be asking you, where you from? You're not supposed to say nothing because that's fucking giving you a validation point. You just say, put me where you're going to put me, man. I'm in prison. I am who I am, right? And then most of them already know what it is. They just want to hear you admit to it so they can validate you, right? And they'll put you wherever they send you, and then you handle your business from there. Some people get fucked with no Vaseline, just a little bit, a match and a little bit of gasoline. Some get sent where they're supposed to be. But then years later, man, when they open up SNY yards and all these things, they started to have a thing where you would get off the bus and the cop would tell you right off the bus, hey, do you want to PC up? Do you want to go here or there? And you take a left, you're left behind, right? And they even had things in certain R&Rs where you get in R&R, and when a dude fell off at the podium, they'd ring a bell, ding 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 ding, winner, chicken dinner. He didn't donate $1. You know what I mean? He donated his soul to the SNY, and that's how that was. Do I think Big Boy would go to SNY? I don't know, to be honest with you, but I can see a situation where he's like, I don't know, bro. Vatos might be tripping on me. You know what I'm saying? I was out here acting super Mexican, but, you know, I'm really a Wood. Like, he should have just ran Wood and just ran with that. But, you know, he made up a gang, you know, for whatever reason. Got it blasted all the way across his chest. He's proud of the crabbing community, right? He's proud of parasailing and knowing that there's seals in his vodka. Like, how can you be from a neighborhood where there's actually otters and seals in your neighborhood? You could go outside your door. You can feed the seals. Is that really a neighborhood, or is that really a cushy spot? You know what I mean? You give them the leftover shrimp tails. Like, this ain't duck tails, homie. This is shrimp tails. Anyways, if this guy goes back to prison, nothing's going to happen to him, man. He's not in bad standings. He hasn't done anything within the gang life. Now, I did see a video. He was working out with Big Joe. Let me put this out there because this is facts. You could ask people like Does, people who really did it on the southern side, not the other side, right? But I seen a video where Big Boy was saying, come on, Joe, get it, esse. Get it, esse. He was playing Super Mexican. Now, when you start saying words like esse, trece, things like that, now, and only now, do you owe somebody? Because you don't own those words, right? So you really got to watch what you say when you say it, man. That's just the truth. These are straight up facts, right? You want to play the role and be a southerner or northerner or whatever, Homestead, that doesn't belong to you. You know, you got to be a product of that environment. That means kick in or get kicked in. That's a fact. So with that being said, man, to answer the question, Big Boy wouldn't have no issues. If he goes back to prison, he's going to be all right. They might question him about hanging around with fucking Wes. I'm going to tell on everyone Watson, right? Because Wes Watson has gotten people incarcerated. He's actually got people locked up because of his stories. So I guess all the stories ain't fake. The one story he told that was real got someone indicted. Is that fucked up? Damn, Wes can't win, huh? Or maybe he can. He got some Bugatti and a bubble butt in the back. Maybe it's even bubble butt 100. One never knows, does one. One thing I know for sure, man, that Big Boy might get questioned for hanging around that person, but I guarantee you, Big Boy, knowing the way he big man chichis, he'll say, I ain't got nothing to do with that dude. That ain't my home, right? Because he said that about solid motherfuckers he fucked with in the past. Dude, he said that about me, homie. It was because I said he was 270. He said, I don't fuck with you no more, homie. What happened, homie? I thought we used to have curling contests. Let's have another one, homie. That's my body. We want to touch it, touch it, touch it. With that being said, man, there's the answer to your question. I don't think anything bad will happen to this dude, man, unless he gets caught up in the gang underworld, and then, you know, we'll see what happens there. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Again, myself, Dubs, and I don't even want to speak for Bubba, but I will. Shout out to Bubba. Shout out to John Bravo. Shout out to Mud Pit, everyone that's handling their business, Matt Truck, everyone who's going in on these cats, man. Great content, right? I will say this. I don't think none of us, not one of us, hate these guys. Wes Watson, Big Boy. I know I don't hate them personally. But they're idiots, and it's fun making fun of them, isn't it? People make fun of me, no one says anything, so I'm gonna get mines too. Bang, bang.